Now, a Border Patrol agent has pleaded guilty for intentionally running into a migrant with his vehicle. Now, this is a government vehicle, right? So now this agent is 39-year-old Matthew Bowen, and he was stationed in the border town of Nogales, and he faces up to $100,000 in fines and could spend a year in prison for nearly running over a Guatemalan migrant. So Bowen. Oh, that's weird. Freudian slip here. Bowen was charged last year for hitting a 23-year-old Antolin Lopez Aguilar, a undocumented immigrant from Guatemala, with his Border Patrol truck and then allegedly falsifying his report about the incident. Prosecutors said the 10-year Border Patrol veteran, who was indefinitely suspended for the agency following his indictment, came, quote, within inches of running Lopez Aguilar over. The migrant reportedly suffered abrasions on his right hand and both of his knees after being struck by the vehicle. So now you might think, okay, look, this is probably an accident, right? I mean, come on. He didn't mean to run him over, so he got a little too close. Had to have been an accident, right? No, you're going to be shocked to find out that this guy has a history of saying racist things about migrants. In court, prosecutors cited texts from the agent weeks before the incident in which he referred to migrants as, quote, mindless, murdering savages. Well, now wait a minute. Who seems more savage? The Guatemalan who is trying to make his way up to America for a better life, or the guy who tries to run him over with his truck? Maybe they've got a different definition of savage. Okay. He's also referred to him as S-bags, subhuman, unworthy of being kindling for a fire. Now, look, is any of this a shock to you? No, of course not. As somebody who thinks a certain group of people are subhuman would do something like this, especially since he has the power to be able to do something like this, especially since the President of the United States tacitly agrees with these kinds of hateful acts in his rhetoric. But it gets worse. I know, it gets worse because this guy was not alone in his thinking. And I'm not just saying across the country, because of course, right? No, what I'm saying is that this was in the agency. In fact, Bowen's attorney claimed at the time that the inflammatory language was, quote, commonplace throughout the Border Patrol's Tucson sector, and that it is part of the agency's culture. Now, wait a minute here. This was supposed to be his defense. I mean, look, the racist texts. No, everybody in Tucson at this Border Patrol agency talks like that. I mean, that's just the culture. Why get him in trouble? So this wasn't a racist attack at all. No, it was everybody talks like that. Are you kidding me? That is almost unbelievable, right? How just open they are about their racism, about how much they hate these people, that these migrants who literally have nothing and are running for their lives. I mean, again, the defense is what? No, we're almost all completely racist. I mean, who do you think wants to become a Border Patrol agent, right? Especially now that we've been empowered to do whatever we want to the migrants, kick over, food and water, make sure that these people that are coming across the border desperate don't get water. Look, by the way, the Facebook group that they were in, right? So they were in a Facebook group. We found that out. That actually had thousands of current and former border agents. And what was it filled with? It was filled with anti-immigrant hatred. I mean, seriously. Not only against just immigrants or migrants or asylum seekers, whatever. Also, they went after congresswomen. The congresswomen that came to visit, including AOC. They were talking about throwing burritos at her, as well as doing explicit, depictions of, Donald Trump sexually assaulting her. I mean, this is gross stuff. This is the culture in the Border Patrol. Again, thousands of agents were involved in this. Not one spoke up. Not one said, "Hey, you know what? That is inappropriate." That not only is a person of color, but also as a U.S. Congresswoman. They didn't speak up at all. No, they joked, they laughed about it because that's who they are. These people are deeply racist. And look, if you don't see a problem with having a Facebook group that is dedicated to this kind of hatred, then maybe you need to look at yourself in a mirror, figure out your own values. Now, the frustrating thing to me, of course, is the fact that he got a plea deal, right? In which, according to the Arizona Republic, quote unquote, court documents, said the agent had to admit to intentionally striking Lopez Aguilar with his truck. He said, "During my apprehension, I intentionally struck him with an unreasonable amount of force. My actions were not justified and violated his rights protected by the Constitution of the United States." So that is basically the only crime that he ended up confessing to. I violated his constitutional rights as a migrant. As part of his plea deal, prosecutors agreed to dismiss a second charge against Bowen for allegedly lying to investigators, falsifying his reports. So he hits somebody with a truck, tries to cover it up, and all they do is say, "Oh, we'll just get you for hitting the guy because you admitted that you hit the guy." Wow. And now, look, one of the other things, of course, is that he was also forced to tender his resignation. So he can no longer be serving as a member of Border Patrol. Well, okay, that's fine, but none of that actually solves a problem within the Border Patrol. And that's the culture. We need to investigate the Tucson Border Patrol office. Actually, no, we need to investigate all of Border Patrol. Kick out the people who are racist. If that is the culture there, then it is completely unacceptable. They should not be in this job. If you think migrants coming from El Salvador or Honduras or Guatemala or any of these Central American countries or Mexico, etc., if you think people coming over the border are mindless subhuman savages that aren't worth kindling, then you do not belong in this job. That is the type of toxic culture that ironically leads to people being hit by their trucks, or in even worse circumstances, dying in their custody, as has happened. So look, every single person making those kind of statements, for one, need to be fired immediately. For this guy, no, we should charge him with a hate crime. That's what this is. This is a hate crime, pure and simple. Go back, look at his text, look at the things that he has said about these migrants. And if you don't come up with a conclusion that this was racially and motivated by hate and racism, then you just don't want to see it. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.